Hi, welcome. I am Kelly Hearn, and today we are going to be talking about advocating for yourself. These are going to be tips and a structure that you can apply to any situation where you need to advocate for yourself. We are going to take a work specific focus, but as with anything, if you are leading, you can lead in your career and you can lead in any sort of aspect of your life. So, again, I'm Kelly Hearn, Kelly Hearn's Transitional Leadership. And this is the channel where you learn to objectively and reflectively lead in all aspects of life. All right. So if you learned anything here today, or if you've learned anything from any of my videos, feel free to like, subscribe, share, get the word out, get these videos to more people. There is also a corresponding blog post for this video. So if you want to learn more and see more examples of how I myself have advocated for better boundaries and have helped clients advocate for more money in their career, feel free to click the link in the description to head over to the blog to learn more about that. All right, so like I said, we have a structure that is going to apply to any sort of situation where you need to advocate for yourself. And we're going to talk through some examples that apply more so to work, but again, use this anywhere that you need to. Self-advocacy is such an important and critical skill that way too few of us have or utilize. All right, so with this structure to advocate for yourself, I want you to first think about like these big three rocks. All right, so initially, we're going to prepare. One of the first things that can go wrong in advocating for yourself is going in guns a-blazing and not really understanding what you need, how it will apply to the work that you're doing, and what the consequences or preferred outcomes would be of the advocacy that you're asking for, right? So we need to make sure that we prepare. Once we prepare, we are going to make the ask. I know that that sounds really basic and obvious, but it is a thing that people forget all the time. They think that just because they want it, just because they've seen articles on it, just because the LinkedIn or Facebook algorithm is showing them that everybody's talking about this, that obviously their boss, their partner, their whoever knows that they need this. And that's just not the case. If you don't ask, nobody knows. And you need to ask for it in the right way so that you are able to get the most out of it. And then the last piece of this framework is going to be to act and communicate. We're going to put those two things together because I want you to do them side by side concurrently, not in these separate vacuums. All right. So we are going to prepare, we are going to ask, and then we are going to act and communicate together. All right. So, what does it look like to prepare for advocating for yourself? First and foremost, you need to know what you want, not what other people want, not what would be best for your mom or your sister or your friend or Joe down the street, what you want, what would help you. Now, the reason I clarify it like that is because I've seen plenty of people feel like they need more work-life balance, but when you ask them specifically, it's they're not looking for anything different in the category of work-life balance. Sometimes they're looking for more money, but they don't feel like they can say more money. So they say balance because that sounds more palatable. That fits better in this, day and age. Or what they really want is more opportunities to go out and have happy hours or connect with coworkers outside of work. But again, that doesn't sound quite right. So they say, networking and things like that. Determine what it is that you want. If you need some help getting there, I have a wonderful resource that helps you sort of break it down, but from the top down on figuring out what you want and aligning your actions with your vision. I will put a link in the description so that you can get to that as well. You don't necessarily need to go into that depth to figure this out, But if you're really at a loss, that can certainly be a resource that helps. But figure out what you want and what you're advocating for. So it could be as small as a seat with a window. That has been something that I have advocated for in the past, that I really wanted to just be able to see outside and see if it was raining or sunny. It can definitely be more money. Like I said in the blog, I tell the story about a client of mine who actually got a 15% raise within a few months based on intentionally advocating for herself. It could be a better work-life balance. Maybe you really do want to work from home more or gain more ability to have a flexible schedule where you're only working certain days a week or certain hours of the day. Figure out what that is for you. And the kicker is it has to be something that will help you both personally and professionally. Now, again, I'm going to call out here that we're talking specifically about advocacy at work. So if you're trying to advocate for yourself in a different situation, maybe it's with your partner and you need to advocate for some you time, know what that you time is and know how that's going to be mutually beneficial to both of you in that situation. Since we're talking career, we're talking about things that you want that would be beneficial to you, but also beneficial to your employer or to your boss, to your team. All right. And to be able to align those things, you have to know what they want as well, right? What are your organization's objectives? What are your organization's goals? What are the team goals? What are the key performance indicators that they are going to be looking at as soon as you have that ask? So knowing what you want, knowing what's a priority for you to do your best work and to be your best self outside of work. And then also knowing what things are of critical importance to them are going to be the first two pieces to preparing. And as with most anything, preparation is the biggest key. That is the biggest time that we are going to spend here. All right. So making sure that you understand both of those things in and out is very, very important. The third piece of preparation is really understanding who that decision maker is. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, I wanted to have a flexible schedule at work. I wanted to be able to work 4 days a week, for example. And so I was going to pay attention to what I wanted. I did 4 days a week. That was going to help me focus when I was at work and be focused on being a mom and a wife and doing everything that I need to do for myself on that fifth day of the quote work week. And I know what my boss needs of the team, and I know what's really important to them. And they need to make sure that there's customer service available. They need to make sure that there are um, people cleaning up the queue and that all of our SLAs are met, right? But what happens if they're not actually the decision maker? I might do those first two steps really well, but if it's actually my boss's boss who has to make that decision, or maybe it's something that has to be decided in HR if it's a 4-day work week, then potentially that's something that I need to consider as well. So once I know who the decision maker is in my situation, I'm better able to hone in on what's important to them. So again, for example, if I'm looking for that 4-day work week and I know what's important to my boss, but truly this is an HR decision, I need to make sure that I understand what's going to be important from an HR perspective, or at least have an awareness that they will have different priorities than just the actual nuts and bolts work side of it that my boss is going to be concerned about, that I'm going to have to bake into this. I don't have to have all the answers right away while we're in the preparation stage, but just understanding that it does go deeper than my boss is going to be really critical here. All right, so while we're in this prepare stage, we're going to understand what we want. We're going to understand what is important to our organization, to our team, and know who the true decision maker is. All right, 9 times out of 10, your boss is at least a part of that decision making body. Lots of times, though, depending on what it is, there's going to be someone else that's included. You want that 4-day work week? It's probably HR. You want to get a bigger raise? It's probably your boss and a level above them. You want to move your seat so that you have a window seat? Maybe that's just your boss. Maybe it's your boss in the facilities department or maintenance because they actually have to do all the moving. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. And I would really highly encourage you that if you're taking advocating for yourself seriously, that you write these things down. All right? Know what's most important to you, know what's most important to them. And if that one feels like a long shot, maybe working a 4-day work week is unprecedented in your company, and that's just not something that you're likely to get. Maybe have what that tear down would look like. Maybe a 4-day work week you ask for, you advocate for, you find out doesn't work. But in your preparation, you also know that being able to work remotely a couple days a week or on that 1 day a week that you're not able to actually not come in, but maybe you can physically not come in. So have some sort of wiggle room in that preparation to understand and be able to continue the conversation, even if they say no when we get to ask. All right, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, if you have any questions, put them in the comments or send me an email to info@kellyhearn.com. All right, next step, we are going to talk about asking, simply asking. And I would say that the way to start this is the same way as you would start any sort of sales or negotiation with someone. Start with what's in it for them. So you've done your homework, you've done your preparation, you know what's important for your boss, for the team, right? But maybe you could start with asking them. Or maybe you could start by saying, hey, Susie, I know that one of our critical initiatives this year is better customer service. I know that that is something that is going to be laser focused and that we are going to have objectives underneath. And I am dedicated to meeting those and providing the best customer experience that we can. Maybe you even have some ideas that you can share on how you can move that forward or how your results, your numbers are already contributing to that positively. Okay, so you start out with what is most important to them, not you. The beginning of your ask is not actually about you, it's about aligning with them and making them feel like you have accounted for their needs because you have, right? All right, so from there, you are going to talk about what you want to achieve. So I know that customer service is really important. I know that that is going to be a critical piece of what we're doing in this next coming year. And I am already contributing to it through these KPIs. I am already answering this many amounts of calls. I am dedicated to hitting or exceeding the mark on customer service, right? I also want to make sure that I am at my best when I am here. And I know that one of the concerns we have with customer service is availability in all time zones. And so I think that I can help provide some support there by working this shift 4 days a week, right? So you're sort of shifting gears here into giving them what they need and making your request in how you can best support it. Okay. So I can support your need for customer service by being available because 4 days a week is probably 4 10s, right? Or ish, something like that. So I can provide that support during these hours, hitting this need for you so that I can cover East Coast and West Coast with these hours that I'm working. And I would love to be able to do that for you because that will also achieve my goal of having off on Wednesdays, of always being off on, a certain day of the week. I would really love to get to a place where I am working a 4-day work week. And I want to see how we can work together to make both of these goals come to fruition. Okay, said another way, I want to know what we can do to achieve both of our goals here. All right, that is how you'll make the ask. Now, they will probably have an objection to that. They will, if you are advocating for something that is new, that has not been brought up to them before, is not a typical thing within your organization, they're going to have some questions. If you're off on Wednesdays, who's covering the phones then? So you have to be able to be prepared for some of those. I don't know the structure of your team, and I don't know if this is the example that fits you exactly, but probably there's other members of the team who will be there that day. Probably if you are covering, the countrywide, you have early shifts and late shifts. And so those can account on those days. But have some sort of plan, even if it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to illustrate to them that you are coming up with the solutions and that you are not leaving them high and dry, so to speak. You want to be giving them the support that they need because that's important too. They need to hit their objectives, they need to hit their initiatives. And you want to be doing everything that you can be doing in order for them to hit their goals so that they can support you hitting your goals. All right. So we've covered preparation, we've covered the ask. Now we just need to talk about action and communication. And like I said, those two things should be going in lockstep. This should be a continuous conversation as you are in your one-on-ones. So in a previous video, we talked about sharing your successes and your challenges in your one-on-ones. This would be the perfect thing to share as a part of those successes and failures. If it's not going well, you need to share that as well. But you need to be acting on what you said you would do. So if they tentatively give you this 4-day work week, they're a little skeptical, but they say, we'll try 30 days. We'll see how this goes. Or we'll try 90 days. We'll see how this goes. And you have maybe a bi-weekly one-on-one. You can provide to them the metrics of your customer service, the hours that you worked, and how successful it's going, how people are feeling about it, if there are other things that we need to account for. Are there things that you've learned as you've gone through this process? Do you have other suggestions that you would make as you move through this 4-day work week? Maybe everything's working great and your suggestion is we should talk to the rest of the team and see if everybody wants to do this and we can alternate days or something. Or maybe there's some challenges you're seeing and maybe it turns out that a 4-day work week isn't working that well, but a 4.5 would work better and I could work remotely on that 4th day or on that 5th day, right? So it's about keeping in constant communication so that they are comfortable and you are comfortable and you're getting to this mutually beneficial result. I know that it is really easy to say that leadership is going to say no to everything, but I can tell you, as a member of leadership, people coming with new, fresh ideas on how to make things work is always welcome. We always want that. We always want you to be thinking of new ways to do things and to make them work better. And if there's something that we can try to support that, hands down, we will every single time. All right? I should back that up a little bit. We will entertain it every single time. It might not work out, but we are willing to look at it and understand where you're coming from and how we can make this work. So if you do the preparation, if you do your homework, if you make the ask in a way that puts their needs first and supports the needs of the organization, and then set up a cadence to communicate the actions that you're taking. I don't want to say always, but it's really rare that you get a no. It's really rare that people aren't supportive of that because how could you not be? How could you not be supportive of a plan that makes the organization and the individual better. All right. That is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got so much out of it. Definitely send any questions that you have because I know this can be a really complex issue. You can leave them in the comments. You can send them to info@kellyhearn.com. Definitely like, subscribe, and share this with anyone who needs to advocate for themselves better in the workplace. And I can't wait until the next time. I'll talk to you later, friend.